Welcome to the Morgan Horse Source. This is episode 42, Going for Gold. Our guests today are Ken Swalla, Maddie Burkhart, and Jackie Schatzberg, the Team USA members. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, so the Morgan Horse Source is a series hosted by the AMHA Youth Councils. For this episode, and then episodes more like this will be uploaded to Spotify, YouTube, and the AMHA website. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Should I go first?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jacqueline Schatzberg. I've been showing horses for as long as I can remember. I show Morgans, Saddlebreds, Arabians, Hackney ponies, and the World Cup was by far one of the best experiences of my equine life, I should say. I was on the three-gated team, and it was incredible, and I loved it, and I think everyone should do it. So.
Maddie, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Maddie. I've been showing since 2020, and I show hunt seat and saddle seat, Morgan horses. And I was also on the three-gated team. Yeah, that basically sums me up.
I'm Ken Swalla. I am a large R judge with USCF and ESC, and I have coached numerous World Cup teams. I'm not going to say how long I've been doing it because that makes me sound really old, and I don't feel old. But I've been fortunate to go to South Africa twice and have coached, I believe, at least 10 different teams with invitationals and World Cup in the States. So happy to be here tonight.
All right, wonderful. So for our audience or listeners that might not know, could you guys explain what the Saddle Seat World Cup is?
Sure. World Cup is a competition usually with South Africa and Canada. In the past, we have had other countries. We've had Germany and Great Britain and Zimbabwe one year, which was actually in Shelbyville that year. I believe it was 2010. For the most part, it is a competition between saddle seat teams where we go back and forth between South Africa and the US because our countries are able to supply enough horses to actually have the competition. There's a three-gated team and a five-gated team. The riders are given 2 practices prior to the competition, and they are, I think it's 20 minutes, to be honest. I never pay attention to time, but I think it was 20 minutes, wasn't it? Something like that. We had practice.
Yeah.
So basically, they get 5 minutes of warm up and then 15 minutes of practicing on the horse that they're going to ride in the competition, which they have never competed on or ridden in the past. And then it swaps, and the next day you ride a different horse and the same thing. And then during the competition, you only have 5 minutes of warm up, and then you compete with the other teams. I think it's a great opportunity for riders to meet people from other countries as well as riders from our own country. And I do think it builds up some great friendships. And I think the girls probably can attribute to that more than I can, but.
All right, awesome. Oh, Maddie, you can go ahead.
Oh no.
Okay, well, that was a great segue. So it sounds like a really great experience. Other than winning, what was your guys' favorite memory?
I think my favorite memory honestly wasn't a part of the actual competition that we had, but it was the practice before that in Missouri at William Woods. It's very much of like a different environment, especially, when you're at a horse show, you're kind of independent, you're competing by yourself. And I think kind of getting to know the girls and like and Richie, of course, in a super fun way was really incredible, especially like I feel like we just all really meshed as a team and we all bonded so fast. And I think that was the most fun part for me was getting to see these people that I compete with in kind of a different light. So I think that was my favorite part is just kind of getting to know everyone on more of like a friend and teammate level instead of more of a competitive level. So
Yeah, I fully agree with Jacqueline. Like getting to know all the girls and everything was really cool, especially because a lot of the girls are from the saddlebred world and I'm not. So it was super like good to get to know everybody.
Yeah, I think it builds long-term friendships. I know that the first time that I went to South Africa, the group that we were with then, we are all now have been longtime friends since then, and that was back in 2012 or 2008. I can't remember. And as far as like Jacqueline said, I think the building of the team is something that brings them all together. And when we were in Fulton, we had a lot of time to do other things or sit around and chat with each other more than just working with the horses and competing. When you're at World Cup, there's a lot going on. It is definitely based off of somewhat of the Olympics too, where like the girls are basically with the team the whole time, and why they can still communicate somewhat with their parents, they're really not with their parents. So I think that's a big change for a lot of them. One of my students was on the team, and I think Ava was the youngest one. So
for
I
sure.
think that was a big deal for her because that was the first time that she actually did something that was really on her own in a sense.
So, for a question for Maddie and Jacqueline, what made you guys want to try out and what was the tryout process like?
Maddie, you can go first.
Okay, awesome. Um, I wanted to try out because Mary has had riders in the past that have done the World Cup, and I've always looked up to those riders so much, and like seeing them like old pictures of them competing and old videos and everything. I just thought it was like the coolest thing, and so I was always like dreaming about it. And when I saw that we could try out, I was beyond excited to get the opportunity to, and like going to Missouri and trying out is just such a different experience because you have all of these incredible riders around you, like just trying their hardest, like riding at their best. And it just was really a cool thing to do.
I think the one step that the girls, sorry, Jacqueline,
Oh no,
the
go
one
ahead.
step that the girls are maybe not giving themselves enough credit for is everybody applies for World Cup tryouts, and then they are selected through the selectors. So the girls that made the team, there were only 20, I believe it was 20 that actually tried out for the three-gated team, and there was 75 or whatever it was that applied for it. So to get down to six is an amazing feat in themselves, and those girls deserve a lot of credit for that.
I think that the reason why I tried out for World Cup actually stems from like when I was way younger. Um, So when you try or when you apply, you make a YouTube video of you, whether you're showing or riding, you kind of just make like a big montage of your kind of riding experience. And some of those videos from a long time ago are public. And I just remember before my class, I would just kind of look on YouTube, like saddle seat equitation, and these videos would come up of riders applying for World Cup. And it was just so inspiring. I know that I've watched Aaliyah Brown's a million times. Hers was so good. I watched Victoria's. I think that's kind of what made me want to try out. And when the opportunity kind of arose, I just saw on social media that you were able to try out, and made my video so fast. I posted it publicly on YouTube, and I think that's kind of the reason that I wanted to try out was because other riders before me and kind of being able to be that age was super cool for me. And then yeah, trying out experience was very intimidating. I definitely was as someone who catch rides a lot, rides different horses, it was difficult. Like it was really hard. And it definitely humbled me a lot, the experience of trying out. It was very scary. especially like picking your horses or getting your folder with all your stuff in it. Like it was very intimidating.
Awesome. Okay, so these next couple questions are for Kent about the application process. You mentioned that you've coached a couple World Cup teams in the past. What draws you to it? What makes you want to coach the World Cup team? What's so fun about it?
Um, I think mainly the interaction, the opportunity to travel to another country definitely was something that made me interested in it. Um, we that's primarily my job, or my barn is primarily young riders or youth. So I'm very passionate about that. It is based off of not just equitation, but it's strongly based off of their horsemanship and their ability to adapt to a horse that they're unfamiliar with. And I think a lot of times, I hope this gets out to everyone. I think a lot of times people don't try out for World Cup because they don't think they can do it because they're not equitation riders. And that's not really why the three-gated team is maybe rolled into more of equitation and form. The five-gated team is not. And they both are based off of their strong horsemanship and the ability that the girls have to adapt, or the riders have to adapt with the horses and what they draw and what they get to actually compete on. So I think that's a big part for me is I like I like to build teams, or I like to build like partners. So like when we're doing stuff at home and stuff, I always like to build combinations and things. So I think that's sort of the same thing as the team goes.
Thank you. So you mentioned a lot about like horsemanship and equitation. So what do you look for in an application video? What stands out to you?
So I have been a selector in the past, and usually if you're coaching, you're not a selector. So but I have done selection in the past. I typically do it a little probably different than a lot, as I judge their videos like I'm judging a horse show. So I don't ever back up or rewind or go back and look at something. I literally watch the video like I'm judging a class, and I score it from that situation. Like the big part is like you have to sell yourself. And a lot of times I think the girls or the riders don't want to make it sound like they're talking about themselves, but that's what it's all about. It is about your accomplishments and the things that you did, and it doesn't necessarily just have to be that you won a class at Louisville. It could be that you competed at some event on a drill team or something like that. I mean, it's many things. It's not just based off of their ability and their wins necessarily. I hope that answers what you.
I think that was a great answer. The next couple questions are for all of you, so all of you or just one of you can answer. Why would you recommend trying out for this experience?
I'll let the girls answer that one.
I can go first. I think for me, I'm definitely all of the way that I ride is all very much rooted in horsemanship, and I learned so much about horsemanship. I learned like so many values that aren't really connected to riding, like patience, you had to be so patient with your horse, but also like flexibility, sometimes you would just get put on like a random horse that you didn't know, or you would have to switch really quickly, like you were getting along with this one and then you had to switch. So I think kind of just learning core values like that aren't exactly rooted into horses. And then also disconnecting from your competitiveness. Especially in equitation, you focus a lot on yourself, and it's definitely, you might be a little bit hesitant to get to know other girls, especially if they're, showing in your classes, because at the end of the day, you are competitors. But I think I really got to disconnect from that competitive side, and I got so close with the people on the team. Like whether I'm on the rail, cheering for them, I think you really build a family in World Cup, and also get to learn things about yourself and learn like the deeper meaning of the sport, which I think is really important. So.
That was such a good answer. Oh my God. No, I think a really good reason to join the World Cup team is it's such a great experience to learn how to work as a team, like cheering each other on, like being supportive while also like being staying focused and, showing your horse to the best of your abilities, especially ones you don't know. Like I think it's just a really awesome experience to learn lots of new things and like work on lots of your weaknesses even. Like you could work on your stuff. I don't know how to explain it.
I think that was a good answer. I think the one thing that both of the girls have stated and that really was important is um, their willingness to encourage other riders on the team, to support the other riders on the team. We never once had to ask them to do something or to help another teammate. They jumped in, they cheered for him, they made it happen, and that's a big part, I think, for some of the ones that maybe had not been on the team before or have not been involved in it, to have that kind of support. I think it makes a big difference for them. We were maybe a little tentative on the gated team, or the riders were maybe just a little, maybe not as confident, and it took the three gated team to help push them, and they're the ones that brought it out in them. It wasn't the horses or the change, it was the other teammates supporting them, I think, that made them come back and really fight, and we were marginal in our points that we were so close to winning the gated team too. So, and I contribute that to the girls a lot.
It's amazing. Do you think if more American Morgan Horse Association members participated in the World Cup, do you think it could help promote the Morgan breed, like in that kind of aspect of everything?
I think so, yes. The hardest part for us is always, so when it's in the States, obviously we're responsible for getting the horses for the competition. And it is a massive amount of horses, because it's not just one team. There was 80 some horses that were donated for the competition. And I'm pretty sure that's close to that number. It might have been a little more. But at any rate, each team has 6 riders, so then you have 6 horses plus a backup. So basically you have 7 horses for each team. And to get that is an overwhelming a lot of work to get it done. And we have a great core group of people, but we try to go out and try to get as many as we can outside of that. This year I know we had a national show horse there, and I can't remember. We had a couple. Did we have a couple Morgans this year or not? Honestly, I don't remember. But every year it changes as far as horses go. And the more, not just the riders, but we would like to get the other trainers and instructors outside of just the saddlebred world. We would like to get them involved too, which has come more and more every year.
Right, wonderful. For all of our listeners, what advice would you give someone who wants to try out or is thinking of maybe applying?
I think just do it. I think there's been a couple people that I've talked to, and I told them about the experience, and I told them how incredible it is, and they kind of said, they're like, oh well, I don't do equitation, or I don't know, just apply. There's no harm in applying. The tryout experience is so incredible, even if you don't make the team. um I think it's still really incredible. It's an incredible experience no matter what. So I think just don't be scared to apply. I think that's kind of like the first wall in the process, is just applying or wanting to apply. So I think if you want to do it, just try, because there's no harm in trying. And again, the experience even just before the competition is so incredible. Even watching the competition is incredible. I mean, I got videos from Harrodsburg like 3 years ago, and it was incredible just to watch that. So I think just being brave and just doing it is the most important step.
I think too, like if you it's like for us it's fairly easy because we are here, and usually William Woods is generous enough to always let us use their facility and horses for the trials. But the more you can get people to come and just watch, like my younger people, I encourage them. I usually get them to help be keepers, so they can at least be in the environment, see what it's like. I think I had 5 this year at the trials that helped get horses ready, and I know for sure 3 of them are going to try out next year. Um, and I think that's a big important part is when they can see it and they can be involved in it. I always, like my younger ones, I always say the first time you go for the experience. The second time you go to get on the team. And Jacqueline's knowledge to that is the same thing, is you may not make it the first time, but don't get discouraged about it, and try out for the invitationals. The invitationals are based off of riders that have not been on a World Cup team. So those are the newer riders that can try out for World Cup, but the invitationals will help you get the experience and knowledge to what you need to do to get to World Cup.
That's awesome. Thank you. So, in regards to coaching, how do you help riders adapt so quickly when they meet a horse for the first time and then have to switch to a completely different one?
Um, I think a lot of it is the personalities. I am fortunate in my aspect of judging and coaching that I do know a lot of you. So, and I do pay attention. So I can kind of, in my mind, I think a lot of times I know what will work and won't work. And so like this year there was 4 of us coaching, myself, Missy Hughes, Anna Chandler, and Lisa Hilmer. And so our discussions and meetings prior were based off of knowing each individual and their abilities and things like that. And then we would go from there. And once we got the horses, some we may know, some we may not know. Some of them might have been in World Cup before. We get limited information to the horses as far as we don't try to overwhelm anybody. I don't think. Either Maddie or Jacqueline would say that we tried to overwhelm them with information, because it's more of them getting on and just kind of feeling it out. And if it doesn't work, it's not necessarily that it's not working. Sometimes it's for me, sometimes it's the overall picture. So again, I look at it like I'm judging, and sometimes I'm like, maybe when we were in South Africa the first year, we had a Frisian, which you would think would be like, oh, a Frisian. Anybody should be able to look good on a Frisian. Well, it was a tiny Frisian. For whatever reason, it was tiny. And so Courtney McGinnis was the one who was supposed to ride it. And I was just like, this just doesn't look right, because Courtney was so tall. And so we ended up switching it, and we had which she rode him really well. And we ended up switching him to another rider that was just shorter, because the overall picture it looked better, and it came out well. We ended up winning that year too, so that was a good thing. But to me, that I guess that's how I do it in my mind, is sometimes it's just what I think looks right, or overall. As far as the ability, the girls, I'm not there to change them, and nor any of the coaches, and none of us try to do that whatsoever. We're there to encourage them and make them a team and a group, and do the best they can. So I hope we did that, and we let them kind of be who they are, I guess is the easiest way to state that.
Awesome, thank you. So I imagine this was a team of really great horsemen, really great exhibitors. So their coachability must have been really good, right? I think we can all agree that coachability is a huge factor in having great
I think
riding.
overall as
Just
humans,
how big of a
they were great humans. So I think overall as humans, it was a great experience for us as coaches.
That's awesome. How big of a difference does having a coachable team make, and what are ways that people can improve their coachability?
I think that I don't know how to answer that one. I mean, I'm kind of a quiet person, so I tend to think a lot in my head and don't always think out loud. So I don't know if I think it's more of like being willing to listen to them. You know, we had a couple instances where we sat down and talked with some of them what they had concerns, and you have to be willing to listen to what their concerns are, but you also have to think of it as a whole picture. So that I think that's the biggest difference coaching versus being a trainer instructor is it's the big picture and it's not just one person or one horse, it's a group. So like when we make changes, we're doing it to accumulate points. And so the points are what matter the most in the whole segment of what we're doing. And sometimes maybe somebody feels like they did a really good job on a horse, which they did, but sometimes it's better to switch them because they're capable of riding one that's maybe more difficult. They may not accumulate more points because of it, but the balance of it will bring it out, if that makes sense. That one's a hard one to make understand. We had a horse in South Africa when Drew Taylor Hewitt. That's one thing. A lot of the girls and people that have been on the teams are still in the horse business. From the very first time that I um, coached one of the teams, there was 6 or 8 of them. I actually just saw the picture recently, and there's 6 or 8 of them that are either coaches or still in the horse business, which I find amazing. Out of 12 riders that they're still involved some way in some form. But we had a horse over there in South Africa that was the South African bred, and it was the gamest, strongest horse that I probably have ever seen, gaited horse. And the only person that we knew would be able to get it done was Drew Taylor Hewitt. And in a sense, she didn't accumulate as many points, but she helped the team accumulate the points because she ended up being able to get it done when it was a difficult horse in a difficult situation. And she actually, in a sense, she got a standing ovation, basically racking the horse on the rail the second way because it literally looked like it was running off, and she made it look like it wasn't. But she was pretty game with that. She actually, her parents tried to buy the horse and bring it back to, to the States, and it was pretty cool. It was a cool thing. So
Thank you. In all your different experiences from being like a coach, a trainer, what would be your biggest takeaway from all of it?
um, probably friendships, the long-term friendships that we've made, not just here in the States, to have friends I would have never thought when I was younger, or even when I was a teenager showing, I would have never thought I would have met and known people from South Africa or Canada or any other country for that, Germany. So I think that's the big one is just getting to meet people from other countries and having long-term friendships with them.
Thank you. That's great. These next couple of questions are for Maddie and Jacqueline. In 3 words, describe your riding styles.
Oh my gosh, that's really hard.
Mm,
Maddie, do you want to go first?
no.
Okay. I know this from Two Truths and a Lie. It takes her a second. um, I think for me, oh my gosh, that's really hard. I think one of definitely horsemanship for sure. Um, gosh, that's
Adaptability for both of them.
really hard.
I'm gonna say that.
Stolen. Adaptability. No. And I think honestly, I think just like fun. Like just look like you're having the best time. I think that shows a lot. Or expression, that's a better word. Expression. Um, I think that's kind of a big part, especially at World Cup. If you're not having the best time on your horse, you have to look like it. Or if you're getting run off with, you have to look like you're not. So I think that's kind of a big part of kind of the way that I ride is I think if you look like you're having fun, you're gonna think that you're having fun, and then you will have fun. So
They both have great ringmanship, and that's a big part of it. Their ringmanship and horsemanship alone get them through so many things, and you know, like Jacqueline just it's their positive attitude is really the thing that makes the difference.
Yeah, guys, you stole it. Adaptability, ringmanship, and I still haven't thought of a third one. My first two got stolen.
Truth and a lie.
Um, I don't know if this like counts, but like my love of the game, I feel like it shows through my riding style. Like my love for the horses, my love for the like showing, just everything. But that's not really a word, so.
Well, thank you. When it comes to your two different riding styles, how did you guys prepare to riding the different horses?
I think for me, I've gotten a lot of opportunities to ride to show a lot of different horses. So I think me having the opportunity to catch ride was definitely what got me ready for World Cup. I think just kind of jumping on anything and everything was definitely really great preparation for me. I think I was like really set up to do that. Um, but yeah, that's for me definitely catch rides and just kind of hopping on anything.
Yeah, I went to a couple different farms and rode like just as much as I could, as many different horses as I could, like catch riding in a sense, I guess. But yeah, I rode with like Ellen Beard and some other saddlebred trainers, and I feel like that just helped me like learn saddlebreds more and like what I needed to expect out of like the horses at the World Cup.
So speaking of new horses, what is the first thing you look for when you first sit on a horse? Like, are you looking for any buttons or what do you do? What's your first step?
I think the first thing that I did when I got on a horse was just kind of feel it out. It's really difficult to explain feel.
Mhm.
It's so hard to explain, especially, getting to ride, whether it's, hackneys, row ponies, or a high stepping saddlebred. It's something that you can't really explain when you get on horse. I mean, obviously, I ask my coaches if they know the horse, or, sometimes you can do your research a little bit, but I think most of it is just strictly from feel. Is just getting on the horse, understanding. I mean, I think just kind of sit, feel, trot, and then just kind of figure it out as you go. I don't think there's really a way that you can kind of figure it out right when you get on.
Yeah, no, I agree with Jacqueline. Like, I kind of just figured out the first couple buttons, like how to go and how to stop. And then everything else you just have to feel out. You have to figure it out.
So tell us a little bit about the horses that you rode for the World Cup during the trials and during the actual competition itself.
I'm like trying to remember.
I
Matt,
remember.
you want to go first this time?
Yes, I can go first.
Okay.
Well, at the trials, I rode a little Morgan pretzel, Kent knows him. I love Pretzel so much.
Yeah.
I wanted to steal him. He was such a cute little guy. I felt like I got along with him really well because like the way he trotted like in his bridle like seemed really easy for me. Um and he's like my horses, so I was able to figure him out really quickly. And I rode a saddlebred named Arnie. So did Jacqueline.
I loved him.
He was so good. He was kind of a little scared of everything. He was pretty cool though. It was fun. Um, and at World Cup, I rode Ryder, a saddlebred. He was way more game and forward, and his bridle was very interesting. It was like different for me to figure out. I've never had a horse quite like that. So it was cool to figure that out and like have a different experience. And I also rode, oh, Prince, this cute little compact pony thing. Well, he was a saddlebred, but he was like really compact. So I felt like he was just like right in your
Like a
hands.
Morgan.
He
Would
was,
remind you of a Morgan, so I think that's part of the reason we kind of picked the
yeah,
picture of it.
yeah.
Okay, so at tryouts, I also rode Arnie. I loved him. He was super long-necked, kind of lofty. He reminded me of one of the horses that I used to show in 13 under. And actually, Marley ended up riding him
Oh,
at World Cup, which was really cool because I got to kind of tell her, what I felt kind of right, especially before the class, which I thought was really cool. And then I rode this other horse. I'm pretty sure it like came out of a field before I rode it at trials. And it reminded me my horse, my saddlebred, the one that I have now, reminded me a lot of that horse in a sense that, it was game and then it was also lazy. Like it was game that it didn't really want to stop. My horse never wants to stop. So I think I was really able to mesh well with that horse because I'm kind of used to more pauses than halts, if that makes sense. Um, and then at the World Cup competition, I rode a horse named Ace, which I loved him. Actually, I immediately texted my instructor, Macy, that I got him because she loves him and she's been trying to buy him off Missy for years. It's never gonna happen, but he was
No,
incredible.
because I'm on that file too.
Like he was incredible. He was fully equitated, such a good boy. I really enjoyed showing him. And then I also showed a horse named Hank, who was a lesson horse at Marley's barn. So she was able to tell me a lot about him. And I really enjoyed riding him because you really had to like push him up and make him do what you wanted him to do. But he would do everything if you just asked him to. So we both got really lucky with our horses. But yeah.
That's part of the competition that maybe a lot of people don't understand is so this year some of the rules changed with ISIA and they actually in the past the riders would draw two horses before the competition and then it would still be the pool of horses for our team. Doesn't mean necessarily they would ride them, but they would draw them. This year, the ISIA, which is the governing body over World Cup, they actually drew the horses for all the teams, and then they just gave us the names. So it was kind of a different situation for us because it was literally like we just got the names and then we just sort of had to figure it out from there to where before we're doing it and they're drawing them and we're seeing the names and then we're writing them down and kind of figuring out as we go along. So it was a little bit different for the coaches, maybe in a sense. I don't know that the girls really know much different of that, but it made it a little harder because we just didn't have as much time either to know who they necessarily all were.
Right. And then Jacqueline and Maddie, what were your biggest riding challenge or what was your biggest riding challenge of this experience and what was your biggest mental challenge of this experience?
I think my biggest riding challenge was definitely figuring out my points for the pattern.
Mm.
Luckily, I had a team and great coaches to help me do that. The Shelbyville ring is very strangely shaped. Um, so it's shaped like a normal, it's very oval, and I've shown it in that ring a million times, whether it's driving or riding. But the points are very difficult to find. The entry gate isn't like in the middle to where when you go first way, you just kind of shoot forward. You have to, it's easier for road ponies to be able to do that more than normal, classes. I think finding my points was really difficult. The mid points were really difficult. The center ring was off center, which made it kind of tricky. But I was very lucky and got to have a team to be able to help me do that. And, we all kind of worked together. We all walked the pattern together. Super wholesome. Uh, and I think my mental challenge was definitely like, we only had, I think, a minute to warm up before the workout. Like you couldn't really like practice certain things with your horse before you went. You kind of just had to understand it. And I think for me, rail work has always kind of been my strong suit, whether it was World Cup or kind of normal equitation. I definitely get really nervous when it comes to workouts. So I actually think that the time crunch kind of benefited me, but it was also definitely a hard mental challenge because I'm a big overthinker. So whether it's like a certain lead, I'm just overthinking it a million times in my head. So I think that was my biggest mental challenge was kind of the time crunches, especially when it came to patterns.
Mhm. I feel like my biggest physical challenge was probably hmm. That's a tough question for me. Um,
I don't think any of them, you have less expectations of sort of what Jacqueline said was you
mhm,
don't overthink leads and things because you don't really know the horse. Like you've
mhm,
ridden it in a practice, so yeah, you may have gotten the lead wrong twice or whatever, but we didn't even really do a whole lot of pattern stuff actually in our practices. We basically just wanted them to get the feel of the horses. So I think you have like your own individual horse. So then I think you overthink a lot of, oh, I know he doesn't like to take this lead off the rail, or oh, he doesn't like to bend to the right as easily as he does to the left. So then in World Cup, the girls or the riders are you're it's such a small frame of time that they don't have that expectation. So they're kind of like, and they kind of, in a sense, you wing it sometimes. I guess that's the easiest thing to say is sometimes you just have to wing it and make it look like you know what you're doing because
yeah.
sometimes horses just and a lot of the horses aren't necessarily equitated. I mean,
Mhm,
we had a great group, like Jacqueline said, we just got really lucky in our draws and we had some great horses. I mean, really even our backup horse in all of our classes were nice horses. It just was not the ones that we chose to use. We had one backup horse in the first section, I mean, one horse in the first section that we used on in the competition, and then the second group, the next day we ended up having that horse again, and we used it as our backup horse only because we just had a great six other horses. So it just that's just how it worked out. But I think you just have less that they have less expectations of something going wrong because it's you don't really know them, so you kind of just like I said, wing it sometimes.
yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much. You've had wonderful answers. I'm gonna open up, or wait, sorry, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. I have a couple questions about the World Cup experience in general, but we are running a little bit over just because you guys have had amazing answers. So this time we're gonna try and keep it brief. We're gonna do a speed round.
Sure.
Any of you can answer, just try and keep it short and sweet. What was it like connecting with other riders from different breeds and countries? And then has anyone from Team USA or the five gated team or another country, have they taught you anything?
Okay, I can go first really fast. I learned so much from especially the people on my team. Honestly, just like their support and sometimes instruction, whether it was like standing at a point, was super incredible. And then also, I think bonding with them was taught me a lot, especially about competition. I mean, I was screaming for Lily French in the senior equitation championship at Lexington. Like I feel like I just got so close with the girls and the girls from other countries as well. I've still talked to a few of them. It's been really cool to experience that as well. But yeah, they've all just taught me so many things. I think especially connecting with different other countries was really cool. So yeah.
Yeah, I think like meeting the other like countries at the actual competitions was so cool, like because they were all so nice and we made lots of memories laughing about funny little things, funny little videos. It was pretty fun. Um yeah, I think it's very cool.
Awesome. Thank you. So, what do you hope listeners take away from this whole conversation?
They try out for World Cup.
Yes,
try
I
out.
agree.
Try out. It's so cool. Try out.
Try out for World Cup, try out for invitations.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to reach out to any of us. I'm happy to answer any questions. The more the merrier when it comes to riders. I'd love to see all of you succeed. So
Lovely. Okay, we have a small group of people watching live. I'm going to open it up to them. If you guys have any questions, no pressure. Obviously, you can just put that into the chat or feel free to unmute. In the meantime, while we wait for any potential questions, is there anything more that you guys would like to say?
I don't think so. Just try out for World Cup. Come support.
yeah, even if you don't want to try out, there's always the volunteers for the girls that helped get all the horses ready, the barn help, the help with the competition when it's here in the United States, volunteering. There's so many things. Both Maddie and Jacqueline's parents did so much on the volunteer side of the competition.
Especially Maddie's mom.
They all did, yes. They were all like so many things, and there's so much stuff to do to have a competition. So the more the merrier, but just come volunteer.
Yes.
All right, well, awesome. Thank you guys so much for talking with us. Congratulations once again, gold medalists. Woohoo. It looks like Nikki's unmuted herself.
Thank you very much for doing this, guys. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, awesome. All right,
Good night.
Good
I think
night.
that wraps it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.